What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Strange Darling, the newest film from director J.T. Mollner. So it's been a pretty crazy year for very disturbing, very crazy, insane horror films or slash, thriller films in a lot of respects within a violent nature, oddity, and of course, Late Night with the Devil. So here we have a new thriller that stars Willa Fitzgerald and of course Kyle Gardner. It's basically, without spoiling anything because I've been asked not to spoil anything and I'm going to try my best, is a cat and mouse thriller about the last days of a serial killer. That's kind of the synopsis of the film. And Willa Fitzgerald is being chased after by a character who's played by Kyle Gardner. And as the movie moves along, things start to happen and ideas start to happen where, because it's told in chapters, not every chapter is told in numerical order. So it might go to like chapter 5 in the beginning, then flip over to chapter 2, because something like, Memento, this movie does this thing by revealing the aspects of this film, but by going out of order of what it's trying to do. So therefore, even though it's placed in out of order, it still makes a lot of sense as you kind of follow along the film. I think J.T. Mollner has done a nice job of just kind of, respecting that and trying to create his own intentional horror film or thriller. And it's basically that. It's basically a woman chased after a guy. Some twists and turns happen, and it leads to a pretty crazy ending. As you can tell, this is a movie I didn't know much about. To be fairly honest, I found out that Giovanni Ribisi is the cinematographer for this film, and of course, you know him from like Avatar and That Thing You Do, and of course, Saving Private Ryan. It's a movie that is from the director who is writing The Long Walk, which is a Stephen King story. But it's a movie that I honestly didn't know much about. I knew who Kyle Gardner, I know who Willa Fitzgerald and stuff like that it is. This is also a movie that has Barbara Hershey and of course Ed Begley Jr. But it's one of those movies that you don't really know much about it going in until you start seeing the reviews for it, and it's been getting quite the praise and quite the oh my god, what did I just watch type of feeling. And that's right at my wheelhouse. Like I said, when you see these types of movies, you hope to be shocked and awed, but you also hope that it's a good story. And so with that said, as you can kind of clearly see from my honest review, this movie's insane. This movie is crazy, but I freaking love this movie. This has been a really good year for these types of films that have come out where they are taking that horror genre or taking that thriller genre and they're doing something totally not necessarily unique, but interesting, and the ideas that they push out there and the concepts they work with, and the fact that they don't stick to a traditional horror or traditional thriller kind of realm. And I found that just absolutely riveting. This movie is crazy in what it's trying to do, and I think from the minute go, you don't see where this film is heading. You don't see what it's doing. You see the outer surface from the trailer, but that's pretty much it, to be fairly honest. It's a wild movie, and it turns into something that I wasn't expecting or even kind of close to wondering. But I think Willa Fitzgerald does an absolutely phenomenal job in this movie. I think she does a nice job of having to do things that, are very uncomfortable, having to go places that are very uncomfortable. And I think she has a nice partner in Kyle Gardner, who plays that guy with the shotgun that you see in the trailers. And I think this movie just absolutely delivers. I think Giovanni Ribisi is an absolutely interesting choice for cinematographer for this movie. I think he has a producing credit as well. It feels like he really got on board with J.D. Mollner's story. And I think he does a really nice job of like the weird colors and the kind of like interesting long takes and the way he shoots things. And I just think it's a really interesting looking movie, but also being a very interesting top thriller. And I think it, with the help of J.T. Mollner and Giovanni Ribisi, they do a nice job. They really do. It's a really interesting, really crazy idea what they're doing. And once again, it's not the most original movie I've ever seen, but it also is one of the most interesting movies I've ever seen. It's really one of those films that you just sit there and go, man, I was on board for this every second of the way. I was on board just with what it was trying to do, how it was willing to take chances. Maybe they won't succeed for a lot of people. Maybe people won't like this movie. But I think it's a movie that if you're a huge horror fan or if you're a huge film that does things differently for the most part, I think you'll really fall in love with this movie. I really do. I absolutely love this movie. I was telling my friend, I said, I think this is going to be a year where a lot of thrillers that take chances end up in my top 10 because it's just actually Blink Twice is a perfect example, which is like my favorite film of this year. It takes chances and does some really interesting thriller things, but it's a movie that really sets an interesting premise and then just doesn't fulfill that premise, but it goes completely different and it actually works. So that's kind of the easy way for not spoiling things to kind of get my ideas and review out. I think it's a really fascinating tale of, you know, looking into the heart of a human being, the darkness that can prevail. And once again, Kyle Gardner's done a really interesting type of thing with his career. He's gone really interesting places that have kind of set him apart and just kind of picking projects. And Willa Fitzgerald is giving like a star-making performance in this role. So it's really good. It's really entertaining. It's super violent. It's super graphic. But if you can handle that, if you can deal with that, I highly recommend it. So overall, I highly recommend Strange Darling. I think it's fantastic. I think it's up there with some of the best thrillers of the year, some of the best thrillers of the decade so far. And it's quite the film. So there you go. Anyways, with that said, that would be my take on Strange Darling, as spoiler-free as I can make it, because once again, there is a lot of stuff in this movie. But if you go see it, let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Did you like it? Did you like where it headed? This review posts when the movie's out, so be aware there might be spoilers that people put in here. Once again, I was told not to do that, so that's why you don't see spoilers, but just know going in that it's good stuff. So anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see in this video, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button, and as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.